Hi everyone, and welcome to CPC's online devotional for Thursday, April 23. I'm grateful to have this time with you, even though it is virtually. But please know that you're in my thoughts and prayers. I miss being with you. Here at the church, things are pretty quiet. The building is empty for the most part. The mail gets delivered, the phone rings from time to time, but all in all, it's very quiet. I will certainly be glad when this building is filled again with the people of our congregation. Today I'd like to share with you a brief selection from Barbara Brown Taylor's book, Tales of Terror, Times of Wonder. Barbara Brown Taylor is a wonderful author. She's an Episcopal priest and also a college professor. And this little selection, as I said, comes from her book, Tales of Terror, Times of Wonder. Do we trust God to act in all the events of our lives, or only the ones that meet our approval? Several summers ago, I spent 3 days on a barrier island where loggerhead turtles were laying their eggs. One night, while the tide was out, I watched a huge female heave herself up on the beach to dig her nest and empty her eggs into it. Afraid of disturbing her, I left before she had finished. The next morning, I returned to see if I could find the spot where her eggs lay hidden in the sand. What I found were her tracks leading in the wrong direction. Instead of heading back out to sea, she had wandered into the dunes, which were already as hot as asphalt in the morning sun. A little ways inland, I found her. Exhausted, all but baked, her head and flippers were caked with dried sand. After pouring water on her and covering her with sea oats, I fetched a park ranger who returned with a jeep to rescue her. He flipped her on her back, wrapped tire chains around her front legs, and hooked the chains to a trailer hitch on his Jeep. Then I watched, horrified, as he took off, yanking her body forward so that her mouth filled with sand and her neck bent so far back I thought it would break. The ranger hauled her over the dunes and down onto the beach. At the ocean's edge, he unhooked her and turned her right side up. She lay motionless in the surf as the water lapped at her body, washing the sand from her eyes and making her skin shine again. A wave broke over her. She lifted her head slightly, moving her back legs. Other waves brought her further back to life until one of them made her light enough to find a foothold and push off, back into the ocean. Watching her swim slowly away and remembering her nightmare ride through the dunes, I reflected that it is sometimes hard to tell whether you are being killed or saved by the hands that turn your life upside down. Our hope, through all our own terrors, is that we are being saved. But this does not mean we lie down before the terrors, for as long as we have strength to fight, it is both our nature and our privilege to do so. Sometimes God's blessing does not come until daybreak, after a full night of emptying ourselves and wandering in the wrong direction. Our job is to struggle with the terrors, neither surrendering nor stealing away until they have yielded their blessings. I thought about that little story because it seems to me in so many ways our world has been turned upside down with all this coronavirus thing. And perhaps there are days when we want to escape from it, days when we want to fight it, days when we just don't know what to do. Everything is so different now, it seems. But the reality is, this is where we are right now, and the reality is that God is with us in the midst of this. I think our hope in all this is that during this difficult, challenging, unusual time, where we're figuring out how to do things as we go, we will come to know God in ways that we might never have come to know God were it not for our current situation. In ways that we never imagined, we can grow, our faith can deepen, we can draw closer to each other and closer to God because of what we're going through right now. As Barbara Brown Taylor says, our job is to struggle with the terrors, neither surrendering nor stealing away, until they have yielded their blessings. Let's be on the lookout. Let's be open to, let's be receptive to the blessings in this time, not to minimize the pain, certainly not to minimize the suffering or the grief, but to recognize the fact that we are children of God. God is with us in the midst of all. I'd like to close with a brief prayer that is attributed to St. Patrick of Ireland. He lived in the years 389 to 461. Please join me in prayer. Lord, be with us this day, within us to purify us, above us to draw us up, beneath us to sustain us, before us to lead us, behind us to restrain us, around us to protect us. Amen. God be with you, and God's blessing be with you the rest of this week and in the days ahead. Goodbye.